wanted, and that's what we got.
Yeah, I mean, they all support, don't they? They get great crowds down there at Stockport, big club.
Yeah. And they're flying high. They're top of the form league there in the conference. Scored 20 in their last 6. They conceded 5. So it's it's what I relish in life, and that's a test. And this is really for us the ultimate test. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, but you go there with nothing to lose. There's no pressure on you, is
exactly.
It?
It's a win-win situation. We'll go there and give it our best shot. But, it's a day in the sun, if you like. There was a couple of draws that I didn't want. It would have been like a bit of a up the Lord me show if we went out the clubs like that. I ain't going to say they are. But this is a win-win situation, I think, and the boys are all buzzing, as Rowan will tell you. Like the WhatsApp feed hasn't stopped the day, and it's just been a total buzz, But like I say, I mean, they're in cracking form, but we've lost one of our last 19 there, so we're going well, and we beat a lot of very, very good teams in that run. Probably none the level at Stockport, but who knows?
No, absolutely. And you had a great result Saturday. I mean, Gareth St Albans and, thumping them 3-0, that's a cracking result.
Yeah, and I don't think it flattered us at all. Anyone who would see you at the game, or was at the game, I thought we was, from the first whistle to the last, we was fantastic. And, we always finish strong, and we finished very strong against them. We could have perhaps scored a couple more, they've been a bit greedy, but
yeah.
It was a fantastic performance.
Mark and I all know too well that you finished well. You got a draw against us in the 93rd minute, stoppage time or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, you should be pleased with that.
he doesn't change, Mark, does he?
No, it's still the same. Can't wait for that sartorial elegance to arrive in South Manchester. I hope you've got a nice suit for the day, Craig. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing you up there. I know a little bit about them coming from up there, and I'm probably the only one. I played there in about 1979 for Tranmere Rovers reserves or A team. We used to always play Stockport, Lancashire Combinational Lancashire League, and it's a great setup. Yeah, the manager, Dave Challoner, isn't it? The manager.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stockport, he's ex-Tranmere, good manager. Yeah, very good manager, and you'll have a great experience. And I know a good coach operator if you need to get up there, mate.
No idea who that could be.
Operator, eh?
I have no idea who that is.
No, neither have I.
Oh dear! Oh, 2 secs, guys. I'm just tweeting this out, and then we'll be ready.
Hey, Chandler, he was the one, the long throw for Tranmere.
Long throw, Tranmere, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
If football could be played with your hands, he'd been in the England team.
I saw a cracking goal by a certain young man sitting next to you there, though, Craig.
Is Reece here then?
Yeah. That one weren't bad either, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Nah, he's a goal machine for us. He's always has been. I got him at Billericay many years ago when he, basically came from nowhere. Unbelievable first season. And then we sold him to Reading. And he's had a great career. He's by no means finished it yet. And he's been unbelievable for us.
Well, a lot of people turn around to me and told me what a superb player he is. I'll be honest with you, that was even when we was doing stuff with Andy Leeson and all the rest of it. He said the guy's just literally on fire. He said he's an incredible striker. So he was full of praise as well, I'll be honest.
That's nice.
Right, let's get started then. So welcome to the D&K Reposs Non League show, and we're going to be here for the next hour or so. And unfortunately, Keith can't be with us tonight, so he's got bits and bobs that he's got to do for his own side tonight. So he's not available tonight, but joining me, I'm so glad to say that we've got in the red corner, we've got, as George was saying off air, in the red corner, we've got George and Mark, of course, from Kingstonian. And, of course, in the blue corner at the bottom, we've got Craig Edwards and, of course, Rowan as well, of course, after their fantastic victory at the weekend. And, of course, their travel up to Stockport in the beginning of February. But, guys, good week for you guys, other than the football?
My week's it's only football. If I have a good week of football, it's a good week, no matter what happens. But no, it's been a good week, you know, and you know, it's been a fantastic week, you know, all the way around, you know, and yeah, hopefully it's an upward turn on the last couple of years we've had, and that's for all of us, you know. But it's been a great start to the year for us.
But so you're not doing the cooking tonight, then, mate?
Nah, she's after my last attempt, she's banned me from the kitchen.
Well, I mean, if we can, you know, George and you know, Mark, we can start with the boys, and you know, especially after what happened at the weekend and so forth. But I mean, Craig, I mean, we speak on a weekly basis, and you know, and so forth. And I mean, what a great victory that was for you guys and yourself and Rowan and the rest of the boys, you know, up there at the weekend. I mean, I think Ian Allenson must have wondered what was going on.
Well, you know, I thought from the word go, we were just bang on it. You know, sometimes you look at the boys in the dressing room and you think, oh, they're going to take some beating today, and there was just a buzz right from the word we got there. The pitch was terrific, big crowd, great atmosphere. Our supporters were unreal, absolutely unreal. And the noise they made from the first minute to the last was incredible. And and the boys, but ultimately it's the boys on the pitch, and they were incredible. The shift they put in and the quality of their play. And you know, and I did, you know, Ian and Peter and the boys over at Stevens, I don't think could have any complaints about the result at all. You know, it was fully deserved, and you know, we could have had being greedy, we could have got a couple more. But no, they were magnificent, the boys. And the old machine over there, he's popped up with a couple, you know, and I think he's made that difference from us, where we've been hard to beat all season. Like I say, we're 19 games unbeaten now, but even games where we're perhaps not at our best, you've always got, when you've got someone like him, you've always got a chance of winning them, you know, and he's made a big difference to us.
So, Rowan, I mean, he talks very, very highly of you, and to get a great man talk highly about somebody, you've got to be super.
No, I think working under Craig has always been good. He knows his stuff. He always, you know, builds a good team. And like when I got the opportunity to like come in on loan, it was a no-brainer. So yeah, I always enjoy playing for Craig and working with Craig, and even outside of football, like he's given me so much advice. So you know, coming to play for him it's always an easy decision.
I mean, what was it like for you though Saturday, right? I mean, it's you know, I've got a friend of mine who used to work for me, and he raves about you all the time, and he's a young lad who comes to watch most of your games. But I mean, what was that like, you know, at the weekend, you know, playing against a team from a step above and you know, doing the business?
You know what? I think it was just a great team performance. Like, to a man, everybody was on it. I felt like, you know, when Craig was talking about that atmosphere in the dressing room, I didn't feel like nervous. I was more like excited to get going. And then like from minute one, everybody was just, like I said, on it. And I felt like even in the first half, we had a few times that we almost scored and stuff. And then for me to score 2 goals against a team in the league above is always, you know, good. But like I said, I think the whole team, everyone played their part. Even the players that come on off the bench, they did their thing as well. So it was a great atmosphere. And even the fans, like, I'm not sure how many we had, but, you know, I felt like our fans are louder than theirs on the day as well, which always helps.
I mean, with the draw though, guys. I mean, you preferred the draw to be the opposite way round and have them at your place.
Not for me. I mean, it'd been great. Yeah, it'd been lovely to have it at home, but I just think, you go to it's a football league ground now. It's a football league ground. It'd be an unbelievable atmosphere. I know all our supporters. They were all looking towards having a big away day. Some of them fancy Notts County, Wrexham, but this is right in amongst that sort of group. And that's what I wanted, like an ex-football league club, and it'd be a great day out for everyone. And we're going on the Friday, so we'll make the most of it. And we'll prepare well.
Have you seen what gates they get though? Have you had a look?
I know the capacity is nearly 11,000. I don't know what
I've just pinged it up on here. So it looks like it's going to be quite a good little atmosphere. I mean, 5,000, 6,500, 5,000, 7,500, 6,000, 4,500, 5,500, 10,000 against Bolton. I mean, it's Bolton, but 4,500, nearly 9,000 against Altrincham. 3,500 against Larkhall in the last round. So you'd be looking at what if Larkhall can get a few up there, it's 3,500. What would with your boys? It'll be about 5,000, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll take about 5,000 up there, or it seemed like 5,000 up there. Yeah, but everyone wants to go. I mean, obviously there'll be people who work or whatever might not be able to get there, but I think that there'll be a lot more people that perhaps weren't even there at St Albans on Saturday that will want to go in. I'm sure that every supporter that came to St Albans on Saturday, if he or she gets the opportunity, they will go because the atmosphere was unreal.
Yeah.
But is this? I mean, this is open to everybody, to Mark and to George as well. Because I mean, you've had your runs as well in the cup competitions. I mean, are you just sad that in a way, especially with the trophy, that there isn't someone like BT Sport or Amazon or Netflix or somebody that just sort of doesn't pick up this FA trophy and put these games on the TV? I mean, because that would have been a fantastic game to have on the TV, wouldn't it?
Well, I think, David, you've made a very important point, and that is that non-league football now is really. I mean, if you look at some of the crowds over the Christmas period and going into the new year. We really have a product now that is that stands on its own in such a way that people can get to games that can have a pie and a pint and entrance for under 20 quid at our level in particular. And I do think that we're at the point now where the media needs to look more seriously at this. Somebody like BT Sport need to have a look at this and see what a great product is, what great people are behind the scenes, organising it, doing it. People like, Craig will bring, as I've already said, sartorial elegance to South Manchester in a couple of weeks' time. And I think it will be a fantastic exponent for everything at non-league. And his team will be hard to beat. And that he will get the best out of them. And I think, I really, it's a game I'd want to watch rather than some of the more mundane Championship and League One stuff that they decide to put on these days.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, going away from the trophy, I thought in the last round of the FA Cup, with the amount of non-league teams that were in it, to show the games that the TV companies chose to show, I thought was a disaster for non-league football.
100%. Absolutely.
You got a situation where West Ham Leeds played each other in the cup, was on the telly, played each other in the league, Sunday was on the telly, same with United v Villa. What about all these non-league sides?
And do you also think with that as well, Craig, though, isn't it, for me as well, is the absolutely abysmal amount of money that you clubs get, especially from the trophy. You get a good run from the trophy like Hornchurch did last year. And and the money, the price, take away what it might be for the final and what they might have got for that, etc., etc. But if you actually look at the actual run that they had, and and how much prize money is up for grabs, it's terrible. You think even when they get to the semi-final or to the final, the club probably gets less than what Craig's playing Rowan a week. Do you know what I mean? It's like
definitely 100%. But you know, I mean, I've said it to you many times that even in the FA Cup, the early rounds, whether they broadcast them, did a draw in the bar afterwards, say 5:30 afterwards, the next round, it would be unbelievable in the bar. You know, I mean, I remember they used to do it in the fourth qualifying round when, you know, and we had it when we was at Ford and we beat Ford United and we beat Cambridge in a fourth qualifying round. And they did the draw live on the TV at 5, I think it was 5:30 after the game. And we was there at Cambridge and the atmosphere was unbelievable. You know, and what that would do to clubs, you know, the take-ins in the bar, people getting in the bar and everything else. And even if they did it on the radio and it was live, and you could broadcast that on a Saturday after the tie, I just think it's little things like that they could do that would be unbelievable. And obviously to film some of the games, and I agree with what George said, you know, some of the games they show, you know, the Premier Division games, with all due respect, you know, I could pick out half a dozen teams where they played each other and I wouldn't walk across the road to watch it. You know, and so you know, one of these, a trophy game or an FA Cup game where teams have got through, would be amazing. And like you say, the prize money is rubbish in the trophy. I mean, I said last year after Hornchurch won the trophy that, you know, you wouldn't see this again, a team at our level win it for the next 50 years. But I'm hoping I got that drastically wrong. But you know, it obviously it'd take a hell of a lot of doing, and what they did last year was incredible, and they deserved a lot more reward than perhaps they got.
I mean, I had a conversation earlier on with somebody earlier on, but do you think this year that it's almost as if the big boys in the conference are going, look, hang on, we're going to take this seriously. Last year we didn't take it too seriously, and some little team from Hornchurch won it. Do you know what I mean? Do you think it's that? It's almost sort of, you know,
right.
give a wake up call.
I had to look at the draw in the last 60. I mean, there's 7 of the top 8 in the conference are in it. You know, so I was looking at those draws, looking at, you know, you look at all the potential draws. But like I say, 7 of the top 8 were in the draw today. You know, so whether that's true or not, I don't know. But you know, you can't take anything away from what Hornchurch did, because they're real tough draws, and what they did was unreal. But it shows it can be done. And one thing I think that you've seen from not just from us, from the FA Cup and the you know, last this season, you know, Kingstonian that run, that there are some fantastic teams in our division, and it is a hell of a division. I mean, I just looked around Saturday night, and I had to go at the boys in the dressing room after the game. I said, we've dropped down to 9th because we didn't have a game, and that's what can happen. We was second a couple of weeks ago, and all of a sudden we're 9th. You know, and that's how it can go. Like a little run of games, and like, you know, what we're going to miss games. So obviously we dropped behind a bit, but now it's focusing on the league and trying to get those points back up.
I mean, I had that conversation with Andy during the week, you know, and spoke to him. You start looking at that you look at that sort of table, and it's just crazy. You could lose a game or even draw a game, and you're dropping out of those playoff places, and other teams are bouncing in. You know, it's ridiculous, even all the way down to just, you know, down to 10th or maybe 11th. There's not that much in it. There's only sort of like 6-7 points. You win a game and all of a sudden, you know, you're in there. I mean, even yourselves, as you said, on some of the teams in there, you've got 2, maybe 3 games in hand on Lewis as well. And we looked at, you know, me and Andy on his conversation on Sunday night, you know, we looked at that and said, well, if you look at Worthing's next few games as well, they've probably got almost everybody in that top 8-9 to play in the next sort of like couple of months.
Yeah.
So, you know, although they are a little bit further in front than anybody else, you've got that situation where they've got to play a lot of the top teams where not yours great, but I know, and I've not looked at George and Mark's either, but, you know, with Enfields, when you looked at Enfields, they have played quite a lot already of the teams that are in and around them. Do you know what I mean?
They haven't got them. we played a lot of, but when the game we lost New Year's Day at Stalford, we were third if we won, and that's only 2 games ago. If we won that, we were second. They were 6, and they went up to second, and we dropped down to 6, just losing that game, and that's how tight it is. But 2 wins, and we're right back in there. And so I mean, it's like I said to the boys right on the word go at the start of the season. If we're in the mix come Christmas time, I think we've got a great chance. And so we're in the mix. So it's up to us to go and do it. Still in 3 cups, so loads and loads to play for. It's really, really enjoyable this season.
And as your young legs coping with it all right, Ryan?
Say that again?
But as your young legs coping with it all?
You know what? I prefer playing games than actually training on a Tuesday night, to be fair. So
you guys are gonna run you.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd rather play. But no, I'm looking forward to this period. I think the gaffer said we've got like Saturday, Tuesdays for like the next 7 weeks and stuff. So, there's a lot to play for. And for me, it's just all about helping the team and like trying to get points on the board so we can, work our way back up to where we was Christmas time.
And of course, that means you lose your Brightlingsea game as well now, doesn't it? Is that the game that you'll be going to Stockport instead?
Yeah. And possibly the Tuesday before. They give you the Tuesday prior to it. So, yeah, I mean...
Surely you'd have preferred to go to Brightlingsea rather than Stockport, though, wouldn't you?
I like it at Brightlingsea. They give us nice fish and chips there, so... But, yeah.
But as you say, it's one of those things, though, isn't it? Like a few weeks ago when we've been talking through the weeks, Hornchurch weren't in that sort of position, in that sort of playoff positions. You weren't too, you were concerned about them, but you knew that they were a little bit further down the table. They've gone 6 wins out of 6, and then all of a sudden now they've come up the table. And I suppose even as far down as we've gone, anybody can do that and shoot yourselves into. Even a bit Kingstonian, you've won a few on the bounce and bounced into that position as well. And as you say, it's going to be a tough run in for everybody. Would you say, Mark?
Well, we have Enfield at home on Saturday. The pitch stands up to it, and that'll be a tough game, and we'll say an awful lot, I think, about. But it's about, I think Craig already alluded to, it's about momentum. And once you start winning and you get yourself on a little run, then with the league so close, you can come up through the positions quite easily. And by definition, if you start having a little wobble, you can go down there pretty quick at the same time. So it is wide open. I think Worthing set themselves a bit of a gap from the rest of us. But, if we win our game or games in hand, we can be not very far away from them. But it's too early to tell yet. And the hard yards are now when the pitches are deteriorating a little bit and games are coming thick and fast games now. And you've got to try and maximise the points you've got, that are available at this point of the season, and then reflect again. I think Craig's right. You look at Christmas, and then you look probably a month or so later and see where you are. But I do think that I think there's an awful lot of teams up there that if they get themselves sorted in on a run, they can at least get the playoffs.
It's going to be interesting. Would you say, George?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Craig and Mark have alluded to it. Craig, what you said about before his side played Bishop Stortford. We played Carshalton on Monday night in the league at their place, and had we won that, we would have gone second. We lost it and we dropped down to 6th. And they do come thick and fast, and pitches are heavy. I mean, I have to say, I'm sure Craig will agree that I'm surprised early in the season there wasn't more midweek games scheduled by the league, because now that we've come to this time of year and the pitches have got heavy in December and January, and with the weather we've had, and especially for ourselves, the ground share, we're just going to end up with a backlog of fixtures, and all of that could have been avoided.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
I've just looked at your fixtures as well. Same as I remember looking at Enfield. 9 games in January for Kingstonian. I mean, is that kid the same for Enfield? And if they're all played, and I think they played their 10th game on February the 1st. So it's like they're almost playing like 10 games in January as such. And it's just crazy. And you wonder, as you say, why they didn't put these games on earlier in the season.
Would have made more sense. Would have made a lot more sense, as George said. And you got 10 games, just 30 points you can bang on. So look on the plus side.
I mean, with your games with Kingston, I mean, with your game against Shearwater, tomorrow night, is that one of those sort of games where, although it's in the Surrey County Cup, is it one of those games where you've almost got one eye on that big game at the weekend?
Well, I think so, a little bit. We flipped it. We were meant to be the home team playing Wednesday, and we've decided they've got a 3G, haven't they, George? So I think we've decided to go there on a Tuesday, and Hayden signed 2 passers-by and a none yesterday. So I think it gives you an idea of where we sit at the moment in terms of squad and Saturday. But we've got a very good and successful under-18s system at the moment. We managed to sell a player up to Middlesbrough last week. One of what we hope is many, and it's an opportunity for one or two of them to shine, I think, tomorrow night as well. So, I think we look at it as an important game. We always do. We never underestimate the opposition, and we give them every respect. But of course, at this level now, it's a squad game, so we will be looking.
Sorry, a bit of feedback. Sorry, apologies. But I mean, on a funny note, we're talking about big players, etc., in the league as well. I think I might be right in saying this, and I'll probably be shot down in flames when it says, but it just shows you what a superstar, the man sitting next to Craig is, because he's actually got a blue tick on Twitter. He's got a blue tick on Twitter. I mean, that just shows you.
What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Oh, all right.
We're the Blue Cross.
Well, I mean, going into this, going into that sort of back end of the season, guys. I mean, who do you see as your biggest rivals? Is it still going to be the likes of, Hornchurch, Lewis, Enfield Towns? Are these going to be the ones that you think will still sort of?
It's too many, Dave. Honestly,
and do you think Worthing? We'll put it. Do you think Worthing will stay where they are? Do you think Worthing will be champions at come the end of it?
They're the best. And I'm talking out of turn. They're the best side we've played this year, although we beat them. And Graham got 2. But we went over there. It was an unbelievable game, and it was a great atmosphere, and they got a great side there, a really, really good side. But as George said, the pitches are changing. I mean, at home, I do think there is an advantage for the teams that play on 3G. But on the flip side, when they have to go to grounds that tend to get heavy, like Leverhead, and where you're playing, casuals and Kingstonian, that, it's a different type of game. And they have to be able. I've always said about to win a league at our level, you have to have a bit of everything. You have to be able to adapt, because you can be playing on a 3G on a Saturday, you can be playing on a bog on a Tuesday, you can be playing in the snow, you could be playing in a sunny day in a gale force wind. You get everything, and so you have to adapt to it. And and it's not just that; it's having the mentality to go and play a Worthing on a Saturday, and then you say, with all due respect, you might have to go to I don't know, an East Thurrock who are struggling at the bottom on a Saturday. So so you have to have a bit of everything. And when you say like the sides involved, honestly, and it's not sort of just a cliche. I think there's any of the top 10, 11 can make the top 5. You know, and you put a run together of 3-4 games, and all of a sudden you're right in the mix for everything. And the great thing is, I mean, ironically, not so much Saturday, but you look at the fixtures, and in that division, and there's 2 or 3 games that you'd love to go and watch. You know, you think, God, what a fantastic game. And so there's so many good teams in. And the other thing that comes into it is the bottle. You know, is how they when that winning line gets closer, will Worthing be able to win the games in, because there's a lot of pressure on them. And I've seen it with so many teams over the years that, you know, when we got promoted, a couple of teams that were in better positions than us just imploded when the pressure came in. You know, where you think, how can they lose those games? But it's the pressure, you know. So there's so many variables that are going to go into place in the last half of the season. But it makes it all the more interesting. And the one thing you do know, the top 5 will deserve to be there, and the champions would deserve to be champions.
I mean, in a situation like that, guys, would you prefer, you know, depending on what like your pitch is in, I suppose, in a way, come that, would you prefer when it comes to it, if you say, for instance, Kingstonian get to the playoffs, Chesham get to the playoffs, are you wanting a home game, or are you looking at it and thinking, well, no, look, we'd rather play away, or do you not really bother as long as you're in those playoffs come that time?
Well, from our it's always great to be at home in the playoffs. Yeah, I'd choose to be at home, but we've got the best away record in the league, and our own record doesn't match it. You know, so you know, either or wouldn't both faze me, but it's great to be at home. You know, with your own supporters and that. You know, so go on, sorry guys.
I think from our point of view, you know, as long as we're in it, whether it's home or away, we're better at home than we are away form-wise. But if you're in it coming into the season, as Craig says, if you're in it, you deserve to be in it. And I think with the league the way it is, there's so many teams, top 10, top 11. I mean, we played like, for instance, and 3Gs do come into it, and they do make a difference. Like Carl Shorten the other night, it's an advantage for them because they play so well on it, because they're used to it, and they play great football down there. But Worthing, over the last couple of years, I mean, really, the pandemic's cost them, and I think they've got that bit in between their teeth. They're a great side, and what they've done down there and the crowds they get and everything else, I do think they're going to be there or thereabouts. But on the other hand, you know, if you go on a run, we've won 3 of our last 4 games, all of a sudden you start creeping up that table. And with the way the fixtures are, with games in hand, this, that and the other, who knows? I think it's I think this season, I think the level and the standard of football in our league's been unbelievable.
Rowan, do you prefer 3G or do you prefer the grass?
I don't know. I'm a bit old school. I prefer the grass, to be honest. I just think with the grass, you kind of, I don't know, I just prefer the grass. But obviously, playing on the 3G, you know, you've got to get a game. If you've got a home game, you know you're guaranteed to play, unless it snows. But yeah, the grass for me.
Well, I must admit, on a sort of funny note before we move on, I mean, one of the things is I saw that Craig done Arlo a favour, and we've got that goalkeeper on dual registration. But when I saw the word dual registration during the week, I thought, oh, we've got Rowan.
Yeah, you can have him on April the 1st.
Yeah, happy days. But I mean, with the Kingstonian lads, I mean, you know, you announced the other week, of course, that you know, this season's going to be the last season that you know, at Corinthian Casuals, and it's completely slipped my mind now where we're off to. Is it Tooting you're off to?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
So we're off to Tooting, and you know, there was a few sort of like disgruntled people on there as well about what, you know, going to there. But I mean, how hard is that for you guys? You know, having, you know, moving and not having your own facilities. I mean, because, you know, we always remember you being at Kings Meadow, and of course there's a certain WSL teams sort of sneak their way in there now instead. I mean, how difficult is that not to have your own ground, and how close are we to possibly getting our own ground?
Well, we are the living reality to any non-league board of directors, any non-league management, of what, be very, very careful with what you've got and ensure no matter what you do, you don't go over the top, and that there's a club and an entity, a ground for you to hand over to the next generation, for want of a better phrase, because nobody on the board of Kingstonian that is there now has anything to do with its demise in 2002. Yet here we are in 2022 and we're still paying for the sins of the past. And when you lose your ground, you know, in Italy, you have these situations where there's a council-owned stadium and the 2 or 3 teams in the area all play in that stadium, regardless of level. I mean, you know, at the top level of the San Siro is shared, as you know, and it goes down, and it goes right down through the leagues in Italy, and it doesn't seem to affect them. But in the UK, it does. And unless you've got somewhere to call home, and most importantly, unless you've got somewhere to get that second and third level revenues from, the bar take, the food outlets, renting out the clubhouse for all sorts of stuff, unless you have that, then your long-term future is always going to be in jeopardy. And for the last 20 years, we've had to spend, the directors have had to put their hands in their pockets every season to try and make the books balance. And the future for us has got to be finding, and we think we have it. We absolutely think we have it in the borough of Kingston. We are starting the process now of trying to get approval and then get planning to develop our own facility in the borough, which will be the making of the club. In the meantime, it was clear that the relationship with the Casuals was coming to an end. It was difficult. And it was time to move. And we reached out to a number of clubs, and Tooting and Mitcham have been excellent to deal with. And we were in there for a year, rolling onto a 2-year initial deal. So we're very pleased about that. It has the ground grading that we need if we are to get into that the oasis of the next level of football. So we're quite pleased, and we're looking forward to moving out of King George's Field at the end of this season.
How much pressure, though, guys, does that put you under? Say, for instance, you're successful with Hayden on the pitch, and you get up this year either through the playoffs or champion, say, this year. How much more pressure then does that put on the board of directors to try and find the money to then go into the Vanarama South and survive in there, and then push on in there? Does that add more financial sort of problems for you guys?
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, for a club like us, David, as Mark mentioned a minute ago, you know, our income revenue is limited to literally gate and sponsorship that we get. You know, we don't have the income stream of bar takings and hiring the facilities out for weddings and funerals and all the rest of it. So yeah, but like Mark said, and you know, we are paying for the sins of the last 20 years, but we're all in football. Craig, Rowan, you, me, Mark, everybody that's involved in non-league football, because we love non-league football. I've been a supporter of the club for the last 27 years, director for the last 5 years. We aspire to, when whatever you do, in my opinion, you want to aspire to be the best you can be. And if we get to the Conference South, yes, in terms of the makeup of our club, it's going to put extra financial pressure on us. But there's no point being in football if you don't aspire to be the best you can be. So we'll do what we can, and invariably it'll end up the 4 of us putting our hands deeper in our pockets. But let's get there first, and we'll go from there. But yeah, in answer to your question, I'm sure Mark will agree, it will put extra pressure on us.
So I mean, how much further then is it from Kingston? You know, is that further out? Because I'm not great with my geography, but from the Casuals Tooting and Mitcham, I mean, is that further away? Is that closer to Kingston?
It's in but it's not far at all. It's a couple of stops on the tram from Wimbledon, I think. So what we were really concerned about. We spoke to a few clubs and if you look to where we are geographically, if you look further west from us at Met Police or at Walton Casuals or anybody like that, then the worry is, of course, that you get bumped into the Southern League, because there is allegedly another revamp of the leagues at the end of this season. And once you start looking at, and in my day job, we provide coach hire for a number of clubs that now have Tiverton, Taunton, Merthyr Tydfil, Plymouth, Truro, who play at Plymouth, are as regular fixtures, and it's an expensive addition, and we didn't want to give the authorities a decision to make. So that's a driving factor in the location at Tooting. It's not in the borough of Kingston, but we are happy to live with that for a year or two as we explore the possibility of developing on this site in our borough.
That's probably another thing that, maybe, I can put this and I can't put words into people's mouths, but is that something else you think that some of these disgruntled fans wouldn't have realised as well? That,
I did an interview, and I think I think, David, the disgruntled fans aren't quite as disgruntled anymore. I think we've got to a place now where there's an understanding of what we're about. We tempered the bad news, for want of a better phrase, that we're leaving King George's with some more positive news, and we've got the club now back on. There's an awful lot of positivity about Kingstone now, whereas we have been on the crest of a slump for a number of years. We've got to a point now where everyone is together. It's looking very, very positive. These young players that are coming through this academy is fantastic, and it's everything that the club we've been trying to strive for a number of years without much success. All seems to be coming together now, and we have to thank Hayden and his management team a lot for what he's been able to do and achieve on the pitch. And there's a whole host of people off the pitch that have created this environment. And any non-league club, no matter where you go, part of the reason Craig's having this success now is that not only have Cheshunt got the things right on the pitch, they've also got the things right off the pitch. And if you look at their development coming up through the leagues as they have done, it's been a steady progression, and that's to be applauded. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want this revolving door of players and managers. It just does not work.
I mean, in a bigger picture, I mean, away from sort of Kingstone and as such, but do you think sometimes when a club at our level puts a statement out, either them changing, they're losing players maybe, or changing grounds in Kingstonian situation, or something else along those lines that, how can I put it, that the fans don't like, they don't fully understand the big picture, to the fact that, as you said, you could be a situation where if you went to here, you could drop into the Southern League, which would cost you more money to go to here, and here. Or if it was somebody else, they might have to drop into the Northern League, or somebody might have to drop into the Isthmian.
Yeah,
League.
I think.
I don't think they see the big picture of what you guys.
I think you're 100% right, but I also think it's the onus is on the clubs to give the fans the facts and not hide anything. Give it as it is, and we've been able to do that, and we did that in an interview I did a couple of weeks ago now, and all of a sudden the negativity seems to have gone away, because there is an understanding of the position we're in. None of us in non-league are doing it for anything else other than for the good of the game, and I really believe that our openness and our transparency has been helpful in this situation.
Would you agree, George?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know, at the end of the day, we've got nothing to hide. You've got a number of different factors. You've got the situation with the Southern League. You've also got, like, for instance, if we didn't go to a Conference South graded ground and we were to get promoted, and we managed to, you know, if things were better between us and the casuals and we were to stay there, it would have cost us somewhere between 60 and 80,000 to bring that ground up to Conference South standard. When you start looking at all of that kind of stuff, there's so many different factors that come into it. But we've got to make the decision that's best for the club, and we have done. And you know, Tooting and Mitcham have been absolutely fantastic throughout our dealings with us, and we feel very welcome there. And it's the Conference South level stadium, and we look forward to finishing this season off as strongly as we can, leaving there and where we are, and starting at Tooting next season. But it's difficult because, like, even with the situation we're working on with the new ground, there's so many things in terms of confidentiality and everything else. If we could tell people the information, we would do, but people have to understand that in these sort of sensitive situations, we can only tell you a certain amount of things, if that makes sense.
There has been some messages for you guys as well. I mean, if you don't mind me asking these questions, I mean, you can say you don't want to ask some of these if it's interrupt you. He says here, what's everything was explained in the video interview, then the anger calmed down. We were told we were going to Tooting and Mitcham, and then 48 hours later, everything was explained. So I think someone's backing you up with what you just said there, that they, you know, people were a little bit, a little bit displeased. But then once it was explained to them, they were over the moon with what you had to say. It says if things were explained with the announcement at the same time, then the anger would have been minimal, which I suppose you could probably understand that point of view. And as you said, it seems to be very, very positive from people that are saying, the explanation was fantastic, and that you can now move on as a club with your fan base and go to Tooting next year and move forward.
And that's why we're on the show, David. I mean, that night when we put the statement out and there was some negative comments coming through, you reached out asking for Kingstonian supporters, and I got in touch with you that evening. I've watched your show, and as I said to you before we went on camera live tonight, I know you try and wind Craig up every so often about Kingstonian, so I had to come up and even things up a little bit. But no, on a serious note, we've got a lot to thank Craig for when he kept us up. When he come in, he said exactly what he said he'd do, and we'll always be grateful for that. But we've come on here tonight, A, to talk to you. We all enjoy non-league football, but B, we've got nothing to hide, and we'll answer any questions that are put our way.
And did you, in a funny note, plus note, did you know that your game against Billericay when Craig was in charge, when you won, I think it was 1-0 with almost the last kick of the game or whatever it was.
I remember it well. Lewis Taylor's goal in the last minute
was the most watched episode of Back of the Net.
I know that, and as my dad from my uncle from Belfast says, you were playing that team with the mural on the wall, and I said, "What do you mean?" And of course, it was that first game at the stadium after all the improvements had been done by Glenn, and of course Craig going back there as an ex-Billericay manager, and it was an incredible moment. That, I think, along with a home draw where we had to get something out of the game against Havant and Waterlooville at the end of the previous season. Craig had been in post for about 5 games. He took us over with 5 games to go, and we looked like we were down and out, and he turned it around, and we survived on the last day. They got promoted, and it was also our final game at Kings Meadows. So they are outstanding moments, and I'll always be grateful to Craig for delivering 2 of the 3 or 4 moments we've had. Most of the time when you're involved behind the scenes with a non-league football club, it's just hard work and week to week of grinding it out. So these little moments, like winning the league, winning the cup, and these 2 are and then our FA Cup run with Hayden, of course, and the trophy wins that we had are standout moments. It
was funny enough. I mean, they were 2 unbelievable games. The last one against Havant, I think we actually secured it the game before at Merstham.
Yeah.
We beat them 2-0. But the Havant game, it was. I mean, they had to win to be sure to go up, but we drew 0-0. But obviously, they brought a large support down, and they were a terrific side, and I thought we were a very good side, and it was a very emotional day for the club because it was the last game at Kings Meadow, you know, and and then to go from there to the next game, which I thought I knew this is going to happen.
You predicted it, you remember? You predicted, Craig.
We'll have Billericay away first game, and that was an incredible day as well, you know. So, yeah, I mean, that's what football's all about, your memories. And like I said, when we got this draw to, today going to Stockport, I mean, we full due respect, you can go out to any team that's left in it, but this would be like a memorable day. Win, lose or draw, it'd be a massive, massive memory in everyone's mind. It's the furthest the club's ever gone in the trophy, and it'd be a great day for everyone. And I'm sure
And Rowan, this is one for you. Does he still make you sing that wee song at the end of the match now?
Oh, yes.
Is that still going? The zing? Go on, Craig. It's a wee chorus. The zing sang it.
No, it can only be sang after a victory.
Yeah.
It gets sung most weeks, doesn't it, Rob?
Yeah.
I never forget, and I don't think Hayden's ever forgiven when it got sung at Marston in that game that you mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that kept us up. Yeah, that was a great day as well. Funny enough, I mean, because that was we'd had a great little run. It was 6 games the end of the season, and we won 4, drew 1, lost 1, and and only conceded 1 goal or something. It was, and the boys, they, because I couldn't sign anyone, and it was one of those was going to be it or missing. We went in there, and it was so difficult because you couldn't get anyone in. You just had to get them right on it, the boys. And I think that Mark and Georgia both agree. I mean, the quality of player that you had there at the time, we should never have been in that position anyway.
No.
We were.
They responded really well. It could have gone either way. They might not have taken it to me. I didn't really know any of them, and but they responded really well, and we had a great time of it. And it was and that like I say, it was really emotional. That last game at Kings Meadow, last game of the season was unbelievable. So good memories.
Curtis, Ryan, just Curtis, when he does his coaching and that, does he actually bring the car into the ground and just sort of park it brings out the window?
No. Curtis actually gets involved. Like, he's quiet, but when he does any sort of sessions or when he takes over, he knows his stuff, to be fair to him. So, I like all of Craig's stuff. Hugo as well. They all know their stuff, and it's enjoyable. Like when you go and train and stuff, the boys have fun, but we still take it serious and stuff. So, it's good.
So, I mean, you brought up Kings Meadow. I mean, what was the story behind why you had to move or did move from Kings Meadow?
Wimbledon wanted to sell. Chelsea wanted to buy. If we'd have hung on and had an argument with them, they could have terminated the lease and we were due some compensation as a result of that, but the lease didn't have that long to run. So we came up with a very equitable deal for us in particular, and Wimbledon paid us a lot of money, and we left with a good heart. I know a lot of our supporters would look at things slightly differently, but I know that the opportunities that we have now to develop our own space again are as a result of the deposit that we sit on, that was from our vacating Kings Meadow Stadium. So Kings Meadow Stadium now is Chelsea Ladies' home, and all the seats are blue and white.
So, I mean, look at your fixtures going forward, George, Mark. I mean, you know, in the next few weeks, I mean, we said you've got the Surrey Cup, you know, against Shearwater, and then it's Enfield, the big one against Enfield Town at the weekend. Then it's away to Haringey Borough, to Mersham, and then you've got home to Worthing, home to Potters Bar, and then a double home match against Corinthian Casuals.
Yeah, it's a tough run of games, but they all are at our level. I mean, you know, Shearwater in the Cup, it's a bit of a funny one because they lost to Sutton United in the last round. Sutton played an ineligible player and Shearwater got reinstated back into the competition, but I'm sure they'll be up for it. Hayden's in the competition, you've been in the final 4 times, won it twice, so as I'm sure Rowan and Hayden will agree, Mark and Craig will agree, you've got a situation whereby you want to win any cup that you're in. So that won't be an easy game. But you look at Enfield, they've got a great squad of players, they're getting good results. One of our old players, Mohamedou Fall, I mean, he's been ripping up trees there this season. Haringey, Tom Louisel, his side's always well organised. I mean, they got a draw against Enfield the other day. That'd be a tough place to go. Mark, I'm sure will agree. Although we get to North London in style on Anderson coach, we never do well in North London midweek. We don't enjoy the journey, so that's not going to be easy. And then, you know, you then start looking at Merstham, again, Hayden's old club, so they'll always be up for it. And you know, the games come thick and fast, and Worthing's a difficult place to go. Just on that subject of Worthing, we released a statement today, just passing our condolences to Adam Hinshelwood, who lost his father, Paul Hinshelwood, on Friday. Also, the father of our assistant of the club. You know, we send our condolences out to everybody at Worthing. But yeah, very, very tough run of fixtures, and we'll see where we are come sort of end of January, start of February, and then you've just got to review it.
I've just had a quick look at your sort of running as well, to the end of the season, and it's not an easy one either, is it? You've got, you know, Carshalton at home, Bishop Stortford at home, Lewis away, Leatherhead at home, and finish off with a nice Beano to Margate.
Yeah, you look at any team's fixtures though, the way that league is and as tight as it is, you know, if we win our games in hand, dependent on other results, we could be within a couple of points of Worthing, which is crazy to think when you look at what they've done and where they've been. But you just got the approach that we're taking. I'm sure Craig and Chesnut are taking the same approach, one game at a time, just keep ticking them off. And that's all you can do. But yeah, I mean, we've still got to play quite a few of the top sides. We got Folkestone coming up as well, and you know, I know they got thumped by Wrexham, but fair play to them for getting Wrexham in that game. And it was a bit difficult when we went down there. We had our goalkeeper sent off after 5 minutes, and centre half went off injured after 15, and we lost 5-1 there. But football's a funny old game. And we've got to play a lot of the top sides, and in our league, on anyone's given day, anyone can beat anyone, and we won't take that for granted.
I mean, Craig, Rowan, you're running. I mean, it's not much easier, in all fairness. Worthing at home, Bowes and Pitsea away, Lewis at home, Haringey Borough away, Bishop Stortford at home, and Corinthian Casuals away. And I mean, you've got three of your last 3 home games are all sort of 3 teams that are going to be up there as it stands at the moment, fighting for those positions as well in Worthing, Lewis, and Bishop Stortford.
In our hands, then, isn't it? They've got to play us. That's what you got to think as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see Rowan rubbing his hands together, thinking, well, that's at least 9 goals I'm going to get there.
Listen, as long as the team wins, I don't mind. As long as we win. I
mean, something you guys brought up earlier on. I think it was Craig that brought it up, and he was saying about and sort of everybody sort of joined in the conversation around games over certain weekends. And I was talking to people like Port Ware and also sort of Andy at Enfield about the weirdness of how the fixtures fall. I mean, no one's going to know who's going to be in the top 6 at the beginning of the season and whatever else, or who's going to be playing who. But in the league, in the Southern League Central, where the likes of Harlow and Ware and all that are, it's incredible that this weekend they've got Dunstable versus Northfleet. They've got Berkhamsted versus Romania. They've got Hertford Town versus Colney, Tame versus Bedford Town, Ware versus St Neots, and Welling Garden City against Harlow. So almost 3/4 of the games are either 6-pointers at the top of the table or a 6-pointer at the bottom of the table. And it's just incredible when you look at it and how those fixtures have sort of fallen on sort of what you call possibly a golden weekend. And I think there's a Tuesday in your league as well, where I think Enfield are playing Carshalton, and you look at that and think, well, that's probably got to be the biggest game of the night. And then you look down your fixtures and get to the end, and it's Worthing against Folkestone, and it's like it's just incredible how these sort of fixtures actually fall together, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But it is. I mean, as I said earlier, you know, you look at every week, you're looking at down the fixtures in our league, and there'll be a couple of games that you think, oh, you know, you don't know how it's going to go. You know, and it's just a really tough league. And then obviously you get the ones that are a big surprise, which are always on. You know, you might get someone where you don't expect them to get beat, and they go and get beat. So it's going to be a good league. But it's, you know, there'll be lots of twists and turns. And like I say, whoever's top at the end of April will deserve to be so.
Would you guys agree at Kingston?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's you know, injuries play a part because you know we can never carry the biggest squads at our level, and there's only ever 10% difference between the top of the league and the bottom of the league. You get a couple of injuries, you get a couple of players on an off day, and that 10% is easily eroded. So you get these. You're more likely to get these situations of unusual results than you are further up the pyramid, where they have bigger squads and bigger and consequently bigger budgets. So I think there's an awful lot of twists and turns in this season to go. I mean, we've already mentioned, Craig mentioned there's 12 teams, 1 to 12 at the moment that have realistic chances, I think, of playoffs, and consequently that means there'll be an awful lot of big games, you know.
I mean, I suppose one of the sort of final questions for you guys is I suppose it falls. I mean, you guys at Kingston have had it previously, and of course, Chesson have got it now. How do you keep the focus, Craig? You know, with the players like Rowan and others in your squad, when you've got a massive game like that now against Stockport coming up on the 12th of February? How do you keep players' minds on, you know, your league campaign up to the 12th of February? Is that a concern for somebody like yourself, where you think yourself, well, there could be players with half an eye on that game, and maybe we might take our eye off of the league fixtures in the meantime?
But if they do, they won't be playing at Stockport. Simple as that. And he knows that, Rowan. He knows how strong the squad is, and he knows how good the bench was on Saturday. We had 3 players that weren't. One wasn't eligible. One's away in Malaga on trial, and another one's injured. And all 3 of those boys will be expecting to play, as well as the 5 on the bench. You know, and all those boys that didn't play on Saturday, that, you know, were on the bench. 3 of them came on. They were all disappointed they wasn't starting, and they're all good enough to start. But you know, it's that's what you want. You want competition. And if they, you know, and if they step off it, and I mean, we must have 6-7 games before then. They step off it, they won't be in the side. It's simple. It really is that simple. They're playing, but you say what you like, but every game, basically, they're on trial to a degree. They're playing for their places. They're playing for their shirts. And when you get performances like Saturday, it does make it a little bit easier. But then you're not going to get those performances week in, week out. There might be a drop off from 1 or 2, and then the players coming in from the bench, you'll see that desire. And I said it, as Hugo Cutler, he's playing for his shirt. You know, you see if someone come into the side, we did have some really good players on the bench, you know, and they give pitch and you see they're playing for their shirt. So it's the hardest part of my job is the looking after the boys who you don't select. You know, it's not part. I still to this day I don't enjoy telling people they're not in the side or they're not starting. But it's part and parcel of it, and they know how competitive I am. I know how competitive they all are, and that's why they've had this run of one defeat in 19, because they're very, very competitive, and they all want to play. They want, they all want to be in that starting 11, and that would be no different. It ain't going to be like, oh, we beat St Albans 3-0. We're going to get a little cruise up for the next 3-4 weeks, and then that same team will play against Stockport. That's very unlikely. It'll be whoever's playing well at the time and whoever deserves to be in. So that's how that's what keeps them on their toes.
100%.
Except for Rowan. He's going to play.
No. That's why I'm like.
I mean, like, to be fair, he came on only with about 5-10 minutes to go, and Mo's come on, and Mo's been scoring for fun and done a great job for the last bit, and they like I said to all the players, we started this run when a lot of them were either at the side or, like in Rowan's case, he hadn't arrived yet. He played 10 games for us, but we were 9 unbeaten before he came. He's added a different dimension to us without a shadow of doubt. But we've had so many, like Amadou was out for quite a while, and Adam Craver, who's been as good as anything at the back, he's been out for the last 4 games. So, people they get injured, they get suspended, all number of reasons. And people come in, and it's up to them to keep their shirt, which they do. It's very competitive, but it's a good competitive. They know how important the whole squad is. They know that. They know they got to fight for each other.
Talking about people that might get the sack from the team if they don't play well, etc., during the week. I'm just looking up and looking at what's going on Sky at the moment, and I don't know if anybody else has got it on in the background, but Sky Sports Premier League at the moment. I think whoever runs that channel for Sky will probably be picking up their P45 in the morning, because instead of the sport that's supposed to be playing on that channel at this present minute in time, there is an episode of Law and Order turned up on Sky Sports Football. So I have no idea what's going on there, but there's actually an episode of that. It should be Soccer AM by all accounts, but it's Law and Order up there. So I think someone's getting sacked in the morning, whoever they are. But I mean, with yourself, with Kingston, would you expect your players as well, if they were in the same situation, to make sure that they've got their eyes on the next game, shall we say, the old saying, rather than worrying about what's coming up?
Yeah. And I think when your managers are experienced, there's people like Hayden Bird and Craig Edwards. Craig, you've been in the game now as a manager 20 odd years. Hayden's the same. Like, as a man, you want to play in those games like versus Stockport. They're brilliant. They come along once in a blue moon. Every team thinks they're going to have a great FA Cup run, great trophy run every season. In reality, it's taken us 20 years from our last trophy run from our successful trophy run to the one we had a couple of seasons ago. But your league is your bread and butter, but you've got to keep an eye. But naturally, it's going to be difficult for everyone. But you've got enough games between then and the 12th of February, and I'm sure Craig will keep on their toes in the same way that Hayden would.
And I suppose, has Dean been in contact with Stockport already, Craig, asking them to make sure it's £30 a ticket for the game?
We'll count everyone that goes through the gate, that's for sure. But I mean they've been unbelievable. Already they've booked the hotel, coach, everything sorted, training session, everything, so everything's done properly. The boys like Dean and Lee, and they've been unbelievable and so supportive, and it's just a great. Rowan will tell you, he's been there like a few months now, and the atmosphere between the board, the people that work at the club, and the supporters is just unreal. And it really is. It does make a hell of a difference, and it's a great place to work.
Yeah, definitely. Even like for them to get me in on loan and stuff. Like I know it must have been like, especially this time of the year, difficult, and for them to do it, it kind of speaks volumes to like where they want to go and their kind of aspirations and stuff. So going up to Stockport, I think they're going to do it properly. Well, by the sounds of things, everything's going to get done properly, which is great for the boys.
I mean, have you got? When you say you've got, a place to train, I mean, is that one of the local clubs up there, Craig?
Yeah, local 3G up there, that we'll be on, and once we I think we're planning to leave midday on Friday. Go up there, have a light session, something to eat, and prepare as best as we can.
You didn't get Old Trafford or nothing like that for a little bit of a run around.
Yeah, I think he might. As it happens, Pep might come over, watch the session, hopefully pick up a thing or two.
There's plenty of pitches around that area anyway, isn't there? You could use anywhere around there. There's so many pitches. It's unbelievable. But listen, guys, I do wish you guys all the best. I mean, especially at tomorrow's Shearwater, and of course your games as well, Craig, as well, all the way leading up to that. And I know we will speak many a times before you get to play your game against Stockport as well. So, but thank you guys for coming on tonight, and Rowan, great to hear from you and see you tonight as well, mate. And from George and Mark, thank you very much indeed for coming on and speaking so avidly about your club and and speaking so passionately about your move as well to all the very, very best with that move in the next season.
No, thanks for having us, David. It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure for me, and me and Keith will be back in 2 weeks' time. Unfortunately, I've got a new job and I've got to work late night next week, so I won't be around next week. But we should be back in hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be back with another show. But a massive thank you to George, to Mark, to Rowan, and to Craig tonight. Until next time, good night.